Let's go to cricket now. Ultimately, it could all come down to luck. The Black Caps are all but assured of a semi-final spot at the Cricket World Cup in England, despite being thrashed by the hosts in Durham this morning. New Zealand now sits fourth on the tournament table, setting them up for a semi-final against Australia in Manchester on Tuesday. Now, let's walk through this next bit slowly. While there is no clear margin due to the complexities of net run rate, Pakistan could yet sneak into the semis, but only if they were to bat first in their final pool against Bangladesh and then win by a margin of more than 300. Are you keeping up? So working on the theory that the Black Caps will be in Manchester for the semi-finals, what are their chances of repeating their 2015 efforts and reaching the final? Sports editor Stephen Hewson reports.
Momentum's talked about a lot when it comes to World Cup tournaments in any sport. And after 3 straight losses to Pakistan, Australia and now England at the Cricket World Cup, momentum is certainly not in the Black Caps' favour. New Zealand sorely missed fast bowler Lockie Ferguson in his 150 km/h deliveries as they lost by 119 runs to England in Durham this morning. Ferguson is the second highest wicket taker at the tournament, sitting on 17, with only Australia's Mitchell Starc on 24 ahead of him. Chasing 306 to win after England won the toss and chose to bat, New Zealand's batting faltered again to be all out for just 186. Skipper Kane Williamson says he wasn't blaming their loss on losing the toss, but concedes it played a part.
They did get the best of the conditions, but they were also the better team. So they outplayed us in all facets, and they deserved the win without a doubt. And the conditions didn't, decide the result. But at the same time, I think the conditions changed a lot after perhaps the first 20 overs of their batting, and it did slow down a lot.
Come Tuesday night's likely semi-final against Australia, former Black Cap Ian O'Brien worries the toss could ultimately decide the match.
Since about the halfway stage, only 3 teams have won having lost the toss. So that's 3 of 19, I think it was. So lose the toss and only 3 of 19 win the actual game. So we are seeing a real second half of the tournament dominated by the coin.
Despite having now suffered 3 straight losses at the tournament, Black Cap skipper Kane Williamson remains upbeat that they can topple Australia come Tuesday.
Certainly on the day, anything can happen. And we know from our perspective that we haven't put out our best performance yet. And we know when we do, that without a doubt gives us the best chance of beating anybody. So if we're fortunate to be in a semi-final, we need guys to have that freshness to go out and play with the freedom that we know when we do, that does allow us to play our best cricket.
Kane Williamson's also confident the fast bowler Lockie Ferguson will be back for the match. Ferguson quelled the threat of Australian batsmen David Warner and Steve Smith when New Zealand played Australia in pool play, and his return will certainly be a boost for the Black Caps.
He's been outstanding throughout this whole tournament and a real point of difference for us in terms of coming in and bowling at 150. Did we miss him? Yes, he's been so successful in the last 8 games, but potentially would miss him more if we didn't have him, hopefully in another game's time. So he should be fine. It's a fairly minor injury, so he should be okay.
So Tuesday night semi-final in Manchester shapes as a repeat of the 2015 final in Melbourne, New Zealand against Australia. That's assuming India beats Sri Lanka and Australia beat South Africa in their final pool games. Should India win and Australia lose, that would leave the Black Caps playing India on Tuesday and England and Australia scoring off in the other semi in Birmingham on Thursday night. Got all that? Clear as mud? Well, what is clear anyway is that the winners of the semi-finals will then meet in the final at Lord's a week on Sunday night. For Checkpoint, Stephen Hewson.